Assalamu alaikum, ahlan wa marhaba bikum. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. I'm Shireen Matwali, and on behalf of the UAE Ministry of Tolerance and Coexistence, we welcome you to the United Arab Emirates. Today, we look forward to a number of enriching discussions exploring the role of tolerance and how it inspires investments, opportunities, and prosperity. Before we start today's proceedings with finding out more about this discussion and listening to a number of great speakers, we would like to play a film that showcases infinite possibilities. As you all can agree, the UAE has always pushed the boundaries of creativity and innovation, amplifying the importance of fostering an environment conducive to investment and prosperity, all made possible within a framework of tolerance and harmonious coexistence. Ladies and gentlemen, this is now the stepping stone that gives me great pleasure to start our global conversation on the topic of tolerance and as an enabler for prosperity. Our first speaker this morning is Special Assistant to Chief Minister Sindh, Investment Department and the Public-Private Partnership Project at the Government of Sindh in Pakistan. It gives me great pleasure to invite him to the stage as he discusses creating an investment-friendly environment within a framework of government open policies. Let's give him, please, a very big warm welcome. His Excellency Syed Qasim Navid Kamar.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to you. It's an honor for me to be here today, and I would like to start by thanking the organizers of today's event, the annual investment meeting, and the government of Abu Dhabi for arranging this event. I'm here today to represent the investment department of the government of Sindh from the city of Karachi, the business and finance hub of Pakistan. I'm going to talk about a topic that is very close to our hearts and is critical for economic growth in the developing world. Transparency, accountability, and participatory decision-making are crucial factors for economic growth and investment. When governments are transparent, they allow a flow of information to the public, including investors, about their policies, plans, and future decisions. This helps build trust and investor confidence, which is essential for economic growth. Pakistan, like many developing countries, has long been plagued with issues of transparency and accountability. We acknowledge this and recognize that if we are going to compete globally for equitable investments, we must work harder to address these challenges. In the post-pandemic world, we are trying to rebrand ourselves to be more open. At the Government of Sindh, we are committed to the principles of transparency and accountability and continuously strive to create an environment that is conducive to investment and entrepreneurship by implementing policies that provide a stable regulatory environment, streamlining bureaucratic procedures, and promoting investment incentives such as tax breaks, subsidies, and grants. By doing so, we seek to attract both local and foreign investors, create jobs, and boost economic and social growth. With the use of technology, we have successfully designed a platform that has consolidated licensing procedures under the Sindh Business One-Stop Shop and access to land in our special economic zones through our National Investment Agency portal. We are also very proud of our Public-Private Partnership Unit that has been ranked by The Economist magazine as one of the best in the developing world. We have achieved this accolade by making our mechanism of PPPs more transparent and open by working with the best audit firms and partnering with and getting technical support from financial institutions like the World Bank, IFC, and the Asian Development Bank. As we stand here today, we can witness the successful policies that have been implemented by the United Arab Emirates, paving the way for their steep economic growth. This has set an example for the developing world, and we hope to learn more from them in terms of economic growth and social progress. Today's MOU is a testament to that cooperation. If we are to put regions like Sindh on the global investment map, we must adhere to these principles and have open government policies that promote transparency, accountability, and participation, leading to better allocation of resources, improved service delivery, and resulting in increased investment in the region. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your thoughts on this very important topic. Now, our next speaker this morning is the Minister of Industry, Handicraft and Trade, Technological Research, Regulatory Simplification from the Republic of San Marino. He'll be discussing on the topic fostering a developed free market economy through educational policies which promote tolerance. Let's give him, please, a very big warm welcome. His Excellency Fabio Righi to the stage.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, First of all, let me say thank you very much to His Excellencies Sheikh Al Nahyan for this invitation and for this great opportunity for me and for my government and for the Republic of San Marino to be here in the context of HAIM. I think the title of this panel is particularly relevant in relation to the important challenges that await all countries, large or small, in the near future. The recent past and the emergencies that the world has faced have made it perfectly clear how only by overcoming diversity and working together we have been able to achieve important results. Thinking about the COVID-19 pandemic, for example, and the coordinated effort of all countries, thanks to which it was possible to quickly find effective solutions, not only in the health sector, but especially in an economic sector in the second part of that period. And if we reflect on the current moment, I think we can say that there are still emergencies today for which we have little time to act, very short time to act. Think of the challenges of ecological, digital, and energy transitions, for example, for which we do not yet have definitive technological solution at the moment, and which will depend on our ability to evolve our system, to develop new solutions, new models, and on our ability to manage resources better. On this path, I believe there are two important and fundamental elements. The first is a greater listening to politics. It's very important today that politics listen the private sector, companies, their needs to find the best solution. And the second is the development of a renewable business culture that doesn't see profit as the only outcome of business activity. It's important, but not depend only on this. And I'm convinced that the time we are living in requires in every sector, from the political to the social and economic sector, to shorten distances. And while respecting everyone's particularities, to overcome diversity. I'm convinced that it's necessary today to promote a renewed social pact where politics, on the one hand, create a clear vision of the future and the clear rules to achieve it. It's very important to have a clear solution today, because it's important for investment to understand what is the line, what is the vision of the country. But on the other hand, it's important that entrepreneurs have to make themselves part and partners in the achievement of the impact challenges that await us in the near future. We must create an environment that leads the private enterprise system to contribute to the achievement of the social challenges that every country has today. And in this, politics has the task of providing all the tools to do it. For example, I recently presented in my government, in my parliament, a law on benefit corporations that would bring companies that obtain this certification, which is achieved by contributing with their investment to the needs of the community, to have access at a system that could reward their choices. Indeed, I'm convinced that today, more than yesterday, the public and private sector should work together to achieve the goals on which the survival and evolution of our economic systems and the growth of our business and countries depend. But how can we effectively do this? In my opinion, learn to work together. Politics and business are words made up of people, and therefore the development of our economic and social system do not depend on anything other than the ability of people, even from different countries, from different and distant cultures, to be able to work together. And in order to work together, we must not say it only in words. We must do it in deeds. We must get used to doing it. we must implement, in my opinion, effort to ensure that our schools and universities are increasingly connected so that our young students, that in the end will be the workers and entrepreneurs of tomorrow, have more opportunities to concretely collaborate together, to get to know each other, to disagree with each other, to agree each other, to make mistakes, but in the end and finally to find solutions. We should reach agreements that favor the internalization of our businesses. This is another important point. By facilitating the exchange of workforce and therefore of skills, providing all the tools, including technological ones, that guarantees these opportunities even to small and medium-sized enterprise. For example, the Republic of San Marino is formed by majority by small and medium enterprise. And consider the opportunity that the medium and the small and medium enterprise have today with the conscious use of new technologies can represent a great opportunity even for a small country like the Republic of San Marino for increase the business. It's necessary to develop a new economic and cultural model, but above all, new tools that can lead our countries towards greater and fuller internalization. In this process, our vision and our hope is that our country is a small country, that is a small but autonomous country with a territory of only 61 square kilometers, but with a complex and diversified economy, can become a competitive technological hub in a practical innovation in the middle of Europe. And not only for theoretical innovation. A place where you can test new solutions and on a small scale, and if they work, you can take them to a large scale in another country. In other words, a laboratory of models in all sectors of our economy and the new sectors of the economy that represent the challenges for every country today, you can find a friendly context. However, I'm firmly convinced that these objectives do not depend only the ability of individual countries to create new offices, to make new plans, new projects, or to allocate huge economic resources. It's all important, but not depend from that, but on their ability to work together. From the ability to create new opportunities for our companies to be able to rapidly develop their business inside the country and abroad, to guarantee a better future for our citizens and for our planet. In conclusion, putting the values of freedom, inclusion, tolerance, listening, collaboration on the base of our thinking about investment, about business development. And so let me say in conclusion that it's very, very important to have the ability today not to raise walls, but to build bridges about our country. Because today, than yesterday, I think impossible is possible. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe we have time for one more speaker before the Sheikh does actually arrive. All right, our next speaker, hailing from the island of Guinea, it gives me absolutely great pleasure to invite to the podium the Minister of Trade, Industry and SME, who will share her thoughts on the topic of from local leadership to global competition and the social drivers of innovation. It gives me great pleasure now to invite to the stage Her Excellency Luopu Lama, please, to the stage.
Excellence, Sheikh Nayyan bin Mubarak Al-Nayyan, membre du cabinet, ministre de la Tolérance et de la Coexistence des Émirats Arabes Unis. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les membres du gouvernement, Mesdames et Messieurs en vos rangs, titres, grades, tout protocole observé, distingués invités, Mesdames et Messieurs, l'honneur me choisit de prendre la parole au nom de son Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la Transition, chef de l'État, chef suprême des armées, pour adresser mes vifs remerciements au gouvernement des Émirats arabes unis pour avoir invité la République de Guinée à la réunion annuelle de l'investissement et la conférence sur le rôle de la tolérance dans la promotion du développement économique durable et de la prospérité. Recevez également toute ma gratitude et ma reconnaissance pour l'accueil chaleureux réservé à ma délégation et moi-même depuis notre arrivée dans la cité magnifique des Émirats arabes unis. Mesdames et messieurs, la République de Guinée est résolument engagée dans la promotion d'une culture de paix, du dialogue, de l'entente et de la coopération entre les religions et les cultures au service de la paix, sans laquelle aucun développement harmonieux n'est possible. C'est la raison pour laquelle, dès le lendemain de la prise du pouvoir par le Comité national du Rassemblement pour le développement, le président de la transition a annoncé l'organisation des assises nationales dénommées Journée Vérité et Pardon, pour ainsi donner une occasion historique et unique aux Guinéens de se regarder en face, les yeux dans les yeux, et de se parler à cœur ouvert. Ces journées, qu'il a d'ailleurs officiellement lancées le 22 mars 2022, se sont déroulées sur 6 semaines, impliquant ainsi les acteurs politiques, culturels, religieux et socio-professionnels. Elles ont abouti à 46 recommandations, dont le suivi de la mise en œuvre est assuré par un comité. Convaincu que le dialogue crée les conditions favorables à un règlement pacifique et durable des différends et permet également de surmonter l'ignorance et l'incompréhension qui fragilisent la cohésion sociale, la paix et la stabilité, les autorités de la transition ont ouvert le dialogue politique et social placé sous l'égide du Premier ministre, chef du gouvernement, participant ainsi à la diplomatie préventive. En matière de commerce, d'industrie et de promotion du secteur privé, la tolérance booste les échanges commerciaux entre les États partis à un accord, crée des emplois et stimule l'économie. En effet, la tolérance réunit les acteurs autour d'un idéal, malgré leur diversité d'opinions et d'intérêts, favorise l'esprit d'ouverture pour faciliter les échanges d'informations, le transfert de compétences et de technologies. Mesdames et messieurs, la République de Guinée soutient toutes les initiatives visant à maintenir la paix et la sécurité dans un monde déjà fortement menacé par les crises sanitaires, alimentaires, économiques et sécuritaires. Par ma voix, le peuple et le gouvernement guinéen adressent au gouvernement des Émirats arabes unis leurs vives félicitations pour les moyens déployés, la qualité de l'organisation et la forte mobilisation autour de la tolérance et de la coexistence pour la paix et la prospérité au bénéfice des générations actuelles et futures. Je vous remercie.
أصحاب المعالي، أصحاب السعادة، ضيوفنا الكرام، السلام الوطني لدولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of the United Arab Emirates.
Your Excellency, Sheikh Nahyan Mubarak Al Nahyan, the UAE Minister of Tolerance and Coexistence. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. I'm Shireen Matwali, and it's with my absolute pleasure to invite you to a very special day, as we really have a lot of engaging and enriching discussions around the topic of tolerance and how it inspires investments, opportunities, and prosperity. It is with now my absolute honor to invite to the stage His Excellency Sheikh Nahyan Mubarak Al Nahyan to the stage to address the welcome address. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I join those of us who live and work in the United Arab Emirates in welcoming our distinguished visitors from abroad to Abu Dhabi and to the only country in the world that has created a Ministry of Tolerance and Coexistence. The Ministry is pleased to host this session on the benefits of peace and tolerance as part of the annual investment meeting here in Abu Dhabi. Our gathering this morning expresses our conviction that shared values and ideas of tolerance and inclusion can bind us closer together in peace and harmony. I'm delighted that you have gathered here today to explore the vital moral virtue of tolerance and peace and peaceful coexistence, and to consider the best ways for investing in the present and the future of society. I stand before you, ladies and gentlemen, as the Minister of Tolerance and Coexistence in the United Arab Emirates, one of the most ethnically and religiously diverse countries in the world. At the same time, one of the most peaceful, harmonious, and prosperous places on earth. The United Arab Emirates has embraced tolerance since the founder of our nation, the late Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, united our Emirates in 1971. Sheikh Zayed believed absolutely that recognition and appreciation of others and the ability to live together with and listen to others would provide the sound foundation for a civil, peaceful, and a prosperous country. He knew that we must come to understand and respect the scores of different cultures, nationalities, ethnicities, religions, and beliefs that would be represented in our country. He would explain to us that tolerance is about demonstrating a genuine concern for the welfare of all human beings, and he always acted accordingly. Today, our President, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, preserves and nurtures Sheikh Zayed's tolerance. The most extraordinary example of His Highness' spirit of tolerance and inclusion occurred here in Abu Dhabi in 2019 during the historic visit by His Holiness Pope Francis and His Eminence, the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, Sheikh Ahmed Al-Tayyib. This meeting was made possible through His Highness' visionary leadership and untiring efforts. The visit of the Pope and the Grand Imam focused attention on promoting human fraternity around the globe. They celebrated the value of dialogue among peoples of different religions and beliefs. The Abu Dhabi Declaration on Human Fraternity issued during their visit exemplifies the moral imperative that we must follow if we are to meet the great global challenges of this 21st century. His Highness the President also strongly supported the establishment of the Ministry of Tolerance and Coexistence in the United Arab Emirates. Our leaders have concluded that tolerance is not an inherent or natural state, nor an attitude readily exhibited locally or worldwide. They understood that tolerance must be continuously nurtured and that people everywhere must work together for a world of mutual understanding and justice, a world without extremism, violence, and hate, a world of peace and prosperity, safety, and a better future for all human beings. The Ministry of Tolerance and Coexistence was established to help maintain tolerance and human fraternity as an essential component of our country's development and progress. We undertake initiatives, activities, and programs in partnership with all national and international partners to create tolerant societies comprised of tolerant individuals and tolerant organizations. The ministry's mission is based on the conviction that tolerance leads to greater fairness, with empowered individuals able to work together for economic and social progress and development. Tolerance helps deliver greater personal and community safety, security, peace, prosperity, thereby contributing to more sustainable, harmonious, and happy societies. In the United Arab Emirates, we enjoy the benefits of peace and tolerance. Our tolerant society provides a safe environment in which all individuals can get an education, earn a living, raise a family, and live their lives free from the fear of violence. We have come to appreciate that tolerance in the UAE is a necessary requirement for comprehensive and sustainable development, for social and economic progress, and for national prosperity and global respect. We have come to appreciate that tolerance creates an environment where free trade and investment can expand, where knowledge is shared, where technological developments are utilized, and where market confidence and economic competitiveness are encouraged. We have also come to understand deeply that tolerance empowers good government and informs private business decisions that consider their impact on society. Tolerance contributes to good national economic policy. Tolerance ensures that the UAE will always be a moral society. Tolerance helps us deal with the important environmental issues. Tolerance solidifies our confidence and pride in our heritage, in our culture, and national identity. And tolerance creates opportunities for integrated local and international community engagement that promotes peace and prosperity. Our experience in the UAE has also shown that there are at least three key ingredients the world needs to succeed in the global quest for promoting tolerance and countering hate and intolerance. First, leadership. Leadership matters greatly. The world must have leaders at all levels of society who believe in tolerance and human fraternity, firmly and promote it actively. Second, actions to support tolerance and human fraternity must be part of the daily lives of society. Successful societies are those that empower their people to celebrate their diversity openly and confidently and safely, as we are doing here today. Third, laws and regulations are needed that prohibit the spread of intolerance, bigotry, and extremism, and are quick to mitigate and obviate it when it rises. We must work together to attain all these characteristics in all countries of the world. Dear friends and colleagues, because of our positive experience with peace and tolerance, we in the United Arab Emirates are eager to join with other countries and organizations in support of tolerance, peaceful, and mutually beneficial coexistence. We are ready to share our experience and to gain from others a wider understanding of the universal power of tolerance. In that spirit, we have prepared an interesting program for this session today. We will focus our discussions on the key economic and investment benefits that flow from the government embracing and performing its role as an incubator of tolerance. We are fortunate to have with us this morning a group of ministers from around the world who have generously agreed to share with us the unique experiences of their respective governments' efforts to promote tolerance and fight intolerance. They will share their views in a couple of workshop exercises from which I'm sure will be learned from. I thank all the ministers greatly for agreeing to share their experience with us today. In closing, I wish you great success in your discussion here today. And please remember that we recognize, respect, appreciate each other as we live peacefully together, as we listen to and talk with one another, and as we become genuinely concerned with the welfare of all our fellow human beings. We will continue to celebrate our commitment to world peace, harmony, and prosperity. Thank you for your support and dedication to the values of a global society that is characterized by tolerance, human fraternity, and prosperity for all. My best wishes to you all, and again, welcome. Thank you very much. God bless you all.
Thank you, Your Excellency Sheikh Nahyan, for sharing those thoughts and your vision, which is clearly demonstrated at the United Arab Emirates and its continuous quest for spreading tolerance across all its sectors of its economy. Thank you once again. Now, our next distinguished speaker today, representing the Republic of Kazakhstan, they'll be sharing their views on the power of adopting tolerance values on the global economy. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the podium the Minister of Information and Social Development, His Excellency Darkan Kadirali, please to the stage.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Esselamu Aleyküm ve Rahmetullahi ve Berekatuhu. Maali Şeyh Nahyan bin Mübarek Al-Nahyan, Вазирут Тассамух ва Тағайуш. Құрметті конференцияға қатысушылар, ханымдар мен мырзалар, ең алдымен бүгінгі маңызды іс-шараға шақырған үшін Біріккен Араб Әмірліктері толеранттық және қатар өмір сүру министрі Шейх Нахаян бин Мубарак Ан-Нахаянға, сонымен қатар конференцияның табысты өтуіне үлкен үлес қосып жатқан мұсылман ақсақалдар кеңесінің бас хатшысы Мұхаммед Абдусаламға ризашылығымды білдіргім келеді. Өздеріңізге белгілі 21 ғасырдағы әлем жұртшылығын дүрліктіріп отырған сын қатерлерге тойтарыс беруде толеранттылық, адами бауырластық, татулық құндылықтары ерекше мәнге ие. Біз бұл қастерлі құндылықтың қадір қасиеті мен мән маңызын күні кеше дүниежүзін әп сәтте шарпып өткен коронавирус індеті кезінде байқадық. Бір қоғамда өмір сүре отырып, жүріс-тұрысы шектеліп, виртуалды байланысқа түскен кезде таныста бейтаныс адамдар өзара түсіністік таныта отырып, осы қиындықты жеңіп шықты. Қадірлі достар, Біріккен Араб Әмірліктері толеранттылық және бірге өмір сүрудің негізінде тиімді экономикалық модельді құралған мемлекеттің бір үлгісі. Толеранттылыққа қатысты арнайы министрліктің болуы осының бір айғағы. Әл-Азхар бас имамы Шейх Ахмед Ат-Тайиб пен Рим папасы Францисктің 2019 жылдың ақпанында Абу-Дабиде қол қойған әлемдік бейбітшілік пен қатар өмір сүру үшін адамдар арасындағы бауырластық туралы декларациясы. Біз жоғары бағалаймыз. Бұл құжатқа қол қоюды христиан және мұсылман әлемі арасындағы қарым-қатынастың жаңа кезеңінің бастауы деп бағалаймыз. Құрметті әріптестер, біз жаһандану және діндер мен мәдениеттің араласуы дәуірінде өмір сүріп жатырмыз. Бейбітте бірге өмір сүру бүкіл адамзат үшін жалғыз дұрыс жол екенін баршамызға белгілі. Әмірліктерді көп этносты, мәдениетаралық және дінаралық орталық ретінде әлемге паш еткен толеранттылық жылы моделі Қазақстанның үлгісімен, ұстанымымен үндеседі. Қазақстан тәуелсіздігін жариялағаннан бастап этносаралық және конфессияаралық келісімді нығайту бағытын ұстанды. Халқымыздың табиғи толеранттылығы мен тағылымды дәстүрлерінің нәтижесінде Қазақстанда 20-ға жуық конфессия мен көптеген этностың өкілдері бейбіт тату өмір сүруде. Тұрақтылық пен ұлтаралық келісімді нығайту үшін құрылған Қазақстан Халқы Ассамблеясы этносаралық бірлік пен баршаға тең мүмкіндік беретін толерантты қоғам құрудағы негізгі институттың біріне айналды. Бүгінде ассамблеяның түрлі институттары табысты жұмыс істеп, көп ұлтты халықтың бірігуі мен кірігуіне жаңа серпін берді. Бұл институттың төрағасы ел президенті екенінің өзі мемлекет басшылығының толерантты бірлігіміз әрі оландықты деген ұстанымға ие, плюралистік әрі инклюзивті мемлекет құрудағы көзқарасын көрсетеді деген ойдамын. Біріккен ұлттар ұйымында басқарушы қызмет атқарған президент Қасым-Жомарт Кемелұлы Тоқаев әлемнің күн тәртібіндегі өзекті мәселелер мен елдегі тыныштықтың тұрақты болуына үнемі назар аударып келеді. Бұған қоса Қазақстан әлемдік және дәстүрлі дін көшбасшыларының диалог алаңына айналды. Дін қайраткерлерінің басын қосатын әлемдік және дәстүрлі дін лидерлерінің съезі Астанада 7-ші рет өткізілді. Съезде рухани көшбасшылар геосаяси жағдайдағы адамзатты алаңдатып отырған күрделі мәселелерді жан-жақты талқылап, халықаралық қауіпсіздік пен дамудың жаңа парадигмасын әзірлеу бойынша кең диалог орнатуға атсалысты. Қадірлі достар, 21 ғасырда саяси, экономикалық, мәдени, рухани бағытта диалогқа балама болатын ешнәрсе жоқ және бұл өзгермейтін аксиома. Қасиетті Құранда бір-біріңмен танысып білісу үшін сіздерді ұлт-ұлтқа, ру-руға бөлдік деген аяттың мағынасы бүгінгі адамзаттың толеранттылығына бағдар болады деген ойдамын. Біздің пайымдауымызша өткен және қазіргінің оң тәжірибесіне жүгініп, әрқайсымыз өз қоғамымызда толеранттылық мәдениетінің ілгерілеуіне назар аударуымыз қажет. Бір-бірімізді қолдаудың нәтижесінде біз барлық қиындықтарды еңсеріп, бейбітшілікті сақтау жолында жаңа жетістіктерге жетеміз. сөзімнің соңында толеранттықты насихаттаудағы масс-медианың маңызына тоқталғым келеді. Медиада араздық тілінің hate speech қолданылмауын қадағалап, керісінше елді бірлікке, татулыққа үндеу, халықты рухани жақындастыруда ақпарат құралдарының рөлі зор. Бүгінгі конференцияда осы мақсаттың орындалуына өз үлесін қосады деп сенемін және ұйымдастырушыларға тағы да рахмет айтамын.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for those thoughts on a very important topic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, your distinguished guests, Your Excellencies, we now have reached our MOU signing ceremony, which will take place between 6 nations and the United Arab Emirates, represented by the Ministry of Tolerance and Coexistence. I believe the MOU table is being set up as we speak.
UAE offers many opportunities, and we take part in all those opportunities we can. Also, one last way I did want to mention, because I want to make sure we have time for others too, is because I can go on about the great work, obviously, that we do, but it also is about service to others. We have a very active community service and outreach program at the university, and our student gives back to many of our 30 different partners in Sharjah that we serve and work with. And it's important because that gets to the equity and understanding that there are less privilege, and it's important that students are aware of that. So that's some examples that I'll leave.
Great examples, absolutely great examples. Now, to the New York University, Fatia, you represent, of course, the university. What are the sort of the initiatives that you guys implement to really encourage diversity and tolerance within the students?
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I think for us, and one of the reasons why education is critical to this conversation is that outside of the home and outside of religious institutions and other entities, education has the largest impact in terms of students and student development. And so one of the things that we do at NYU Abu Dhabi, from the moment students step foot in the door, as well as the moments our staff step foot in the door, our faculty and our researchers, is to make sure that they're getting the diversity education, because our students, similar to your university, come from 126 different countries. For many of them, this is the first time they're engaging in this level of diversity. And so it's critical for us to make sure that they have the support. So one of the key critical ways in which we do this is through our Intercultural Developmental Inventory Program, also known as the IDI. It's an assessment that all of our students, faculty, and staff take when they're coming in to see the ways in which they engage with difference, what has been their exposure to diversity, what are the ways in which they interact with conflict. And through this program, we do different group sessions, and then we have individual sessions with them. We also have many student clubs and organizations that focus around tolerance and really think about the ways in which we foster an environment that is inclusive of diversity in terms of the different places and different aspects of our social identities we come to the table with. Inclusion, making sure everyone feels included and that they're a part of it. Access, making sure that everyone has access to the different programs and to the institution, and really thinking about belonging so that everyone feels that they belong and that they can see themselves reflected in the institution, and that our institution is reflective of that. So I'll stop there because I want to hear from my other panelists.
Thank you, Fatia. Now, Ilya, on to you. You represent Synergy University. And what are some of the initiatives that you are doing within your faculty, within your curriculum, that really encourages tolerance, diversity, inclusivity?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for this invitation. Assalamu alaikum and dobry вечер. I have to say it in Russian because I represent the biggest private Russian university with over 200,000 students. And basically, as you know, that Russia is multicultural, as the same as the United Arab Emirates. We are home to more than 200 nationalities in one country. So this is bring us to the same topic as what the minister himself was discussing here, the home to 200 plus nationalities. It's a tough question because everybody is coming with different religion, experience,
Culture.
homeland, culture, language, and to keep this in the stable condition, it's tough. It's a tough question where we need to apply and work on. So as the university, like basically in Russia, we have 193 nationalities living in the country and using 277 languages, which is tricky now because it's making it very hard. If we all speak English, for example, we can speak about tolerance and we can create clubs. But if some people don't even speak Russian, that's challenging. So as for the university, we have 20,000 foreign students studying in Synergy University in Russia. And they're almost from 92 countries all over the world. So for us, when we were invited by Mrs. Zakhara to this event and our university and the visit, basically the minister, what we have, that was for us #1 topic, because we were asking ourselves how we can make it stronger, how we can make sure that the university is growing with 20,000 international students and keeping it valuable for everybody and making sure that everybody feels home, same place. Because, for example, to keep international students abroad in UAE, it's one thing. But when everybody is flying to the country and we have a lot of expats, it's also a different thing. So what we do is we set up international games in the university, which last time over 3,000 students attended. We have many different sports we play, and basically we have teams from the countries. This is, it was very interesting to see. We had over, I believe, 12 teams representing different countries, and we have a swimming, football, basketball, and many different activities in the winter especially. The second, we have Food Fest, which is extremely popular, and every country is...
Food always brings people together, right?
Yes,
We love food.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, and we're delighted to see how people presenting their cuisine in Russia. And the third, we have a Unity Day, which last time was attended by 6,500 students from all over the world, and it was in the heart of Russia in Moscow. So these three things we do, but we had a very fruitful conversation with Mrs. Zakhara last time, like literally 1 hour ago, and we are really committed to the tolerance and coexistence ministry initiatives. And we would like to, because now we are talking not only within one emirate or within one country, UAE, we are bringing now another country here in the conversation. And after long discussion, I believe after 3-4 weeks of having many meetings, we would like to set up a tolerance club between UAE and our university. It's going to be the first case. And we already discussed with Mrs. Zakhara that we're going to send our students from Russia, from Moscow, here for this event, which is coming, I believe, after 2 weeks in May, is going to happen. May 20th?
May 26th,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, we would like to set up a tolerance club based on our experience and as a result of our participation here, because this it's moved us in a very good direction, I believe, which will unite students even more, because we are doing these activities, but yes, students can always go to their programs departments if something's happening, if they want to get some support, but to have a proper tolerance club, that would be the answer. That would be the answer, and we never had it. And
looking forward to it, to knowing more about the Tolerance Club.
Yes. So
amongst more universities as well.
Yes. So basically, we believe that it would definitely strengthen our international relations between two countries, and including with UAE educational organizations like ADEC, HDA, Ministry of Higher Education, and I'm just extremely delighted to be here because we, for the first time, now have a solution how to work on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ilya, for sharing those. Now, Of course, when you're mentioning the amount of diversity that each of you actually have at your individual, universities, multiple nationalities from all around the world, multiple languages spoken, multiple faiths, surely you're going to come across incidents of discrimination and intolerance, correct? Can you, maybe starting with you, Fatia, for, when speaking about the New York University in Abu Dhabi, can you tell us about some of the incidents that has happened in regards to maybe intolerance and discrimination? How did you guys handle it, and what are you doing in the future to prevent them?
Great. I'll start off to give a few examples. One of the largest sources of conflict that happens on our campus often happens during the first year, and I have a couple of my first year students here with us today, and it's around roommates.
Roommates.
And part of that is for many of our students, and we talked about them, many of them are coming from homogeneous countries where they never had that experience of that level of diversity at the institution. And so oftentimes the way we live, the food we eat, our study habits, our work habits impact
are
the
different,
ways,
right?
they're different. And so sometimes there's a level of misunderstanding that comes into play. And I think it's critical for students that are at the age that come to our university between the ages of 17 and 23, that we're not necessarily penalizing them, but we are offering opportunities for them to learn. Because if we take a framework that if you have a faux pas and you make a misstep, that we're just automatically going to be penalized in that way, obviously there are certain instances that warrant that, but we want to give students the opportunity to make mistakes so that they can learn and grow. So one of the things that we've done with our student conduct is we've expanded it to be conflict transformation.
Conflict transformation,
and,
okay.
Yes, and I'll explain a little bit. So the idea of it is that, allowing students to think critically about the different conflicts that they're having, to come to the table, to talk, and we have trained mediators to kind of help them resolve. One other way we could do it is, of course, punishing them and penalizing them, but we find that that leads to resistance. And as we heard from the speakers before, we want to grow a more tolerant society. We want to make sure that, as we know that migration patterns have changed, we have more people living and working outside of the countries that they were born in than ever before. And so it's really important to empower students with the tools to think critically, to become creative and innovative, and we do this through making sure that we have diversity, equity, and inclusion at the center of everything we do, including conflict issues. So I'll stop there to give
Dr. Lisa, I'd love to hear from you at the American University of Sharjah. I'm sure you've come across incidents.
Our incidents, I will say, are probably miscommunication, similar to what Fatia is saying. So one of the things I think is important, we too have mediation. We do mediation training, so peers, our office is student conduct and conflict resolution as well. And so we use peer mediators to help. And sometimes the students just work with each other, work with the peer mediator. If there is a large situation, which to be honest, I don't think we had one. It's mainly been just putting two people together to talk through an issue or a misunderstanding that happened, then we will deal with it, like I said, because we don't tolerate, we want to have a respectful environment. But I also think one of the things you mentioned too, Fatia, is training. Not so much just training, but what we do a lot of with our student organization is they work together on projects. We have a carnival day, but the organizations work with each other on planning their booth. And student council puts the students together, which I think helps. Because then if there are any conflicts, they kind of learn how to work through it.
Yes.
Even through that, building that pavilion. You wouldn't believe it. And then they tell us what they built and why they built that pavilion and the goals of that pavilion. And they work together on that. And I think these practices help with everything His Excellency was talking about on tolerance is coexistence, working together.
Yes.
And so I think that's important. That's the only thing I can add, but I agree with what Fatia is saying.
Ilya, what about yourself? At Synergy
Yes.
University, I'm sure you've come across incidents. How have you been able to handle those incidents of intolerance and discrimination?
I would say the first thing what we always do is when the students arriving to Russia, the first what we do is we need to explain what Russia really is, because one thing it's movies and the information in the what you can read from the internet, but then it's reality. And when students arriving in Moscow, we of course we taking them by buses and we take them to the university itself to make sure that we are the first one who they see. And after that, we have around a month educational course about the country and the history and our history, the main, I think, in this topic. So we explain to them what people are, why they are like this, and what happened in last 100 of years, why we have the mentality as we have right now. This is crucial. When the person coming to live 4 years, because the bachelors we have, it's 4 years, it's bachelor students, and they coming for 4 years minimum, some of them staying after. They need to understand who they're dealing with, where they live. That's number one thing what we do, because we have a complex history. And we take them through this course, and I would say that's how we prevent a lot of problems. Because when students with different nationalities and religions truly understand even the Moscow itself, what is this? How it's not St. Petersburg, what kind of people live there, what's the difference? This is how they adjust very quickly. The second, we do exactly the same as you described, and we love this process, and it's amazing. We do believe in coexistence, and we never separate international students to different classrooms. It's important, because if we do, they will never adjust.
Yes.
If we do that, we're going to separate them. It's like separate two kittens. They will fight at the end of the day. They will find each other when they go eat, and they will fight. You never separate. That's what we came to, like, we exist more than 40 years, and it took us some time to get to this point, because we were doing wrong. We were separating. But now we never do this already for more than 15 years. Everybody's studying with each other. This is crucial. They need to talk to each other. And the third, exactly, the projects, the project management, the projects, where we go, we send many of them, and we make sure we mix and match. We make sure that we send a group with 100 students where we have these 92 nationalities and 8 students purely from Russia. This is how it's much easier for them to. And the last thing what we do is, I believe the first semester, twice a week, we have a person who is literally with them during 2 days in a week. We want to see, because the incidents happening, not big incidents, but like miscommunication. Exactly. I can relate so much to your conversation. What did you say before? And we have miscommunication, and this prevents to sort. So I would say, typically within semester 2, it becomes already very quiet, and everybody understands where they are and what they're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ilya. Now, I think you guys really covered well in terms of what you do already to encourage diversity and tolerance. I would say my finale question is this: what would you want to happen in the future? What would you want to happen in the future to really encourage diversity? What needs to be done with your own individual units and universities? Is there the prospect of opportunities? What's yet to come? What do you think? Fatia, I know I'm throwing this question because you've answered, the last two questions you've answered really comprehensively, but I would personally like to know what's to come in the future to really improve on this topic of tolerance, diversity. What can you be doing more?
I think what we can be doing more at all of our universities, and this comes directly from the students, is really thinking about the curriculum. When we think about the history of education and the ways in which education was used, especially as we talk about colonization, right? Students have been very, very vocal about the fact that our curriculums are too Eurocentric, right? And given that we are living and working in the UAE, it is very critical for them to be exposed to not only scholars and practitioners from the MENA region, but also thinking about it globally. So we use writers like Edward Said and Gayatri Spivey and Homi Bhabha to make sure that we're grounding students in thinking about post-colonial studies and the ways in which it impacts the ways in which they view the world. And this is really critical as we think about a global liberal arts curriculum and making sure it's not concentrated in just one area of the world to kind of reinforce those inequities. And the tolerance framework that comes from the UAE Constitution that really dictates the ways in which we do the work here is really, really helpful and impactful in thinking about that. And then the second way, in terms of the future, is around access. So right now, the UAE is very, very generous and really thinking about the tolerance framework in which students we bring here. And right now, we've been really focusing on bringing more students from sub-Saharan Africa, from Latin America, from the Caribbean, from Central Asia, to make sure that those students in those emerging parts of the world, if we look at economies, we know that Africa is one of the key areas that's going to be, that's primed for growth. In the next 25, 50 years. So it's important and critical that we're bringing more scholars from those different parts of the world in order to increase the diversity. And so that's my vision for the future.
Great answer.
And that's my vision for the work.
All right, awesome. Off to Dr. Lisa now, representing the American University of Sharjah. What are your thoughts in regards to what still yet needs to be done?
Right, and when I think about what needs to be done, it's really, Yusef's here, but the Emirati Cultural Club for us is very key because as his Excellence said, that students need to, and you said too, students need to understand where they're studying for 4 years and understand the values of the United Arab Emirates and the values of tolerance. And our Emirati Culture Club does that, and we look at them a lot for many different partnerships and many different ways that we do that, and we hold the values of UAE. For example, they work with our international exchange students, and we had 30, and there's beautiful stories Yusef and I shared on the way here about how they're so integrated into the UAE culture. Even in our global day, they danced, they learned the Emirati culture dance, they prayed with the students. There's so many with our Emirati Cultural Club, and there's so many beautiful things that I want to continue that, working with them, and even Zahar, when we're talking about the tolerance, is really use the Emirati Culture Club and all the tolerance. So that's why I'm thrilled to be here and participate in another activity that Zahar has. And secondly, I echo, Fatia, with what you say. I'm involved with an International Association of Student Affairs, and we're going to have a partnership with Kenya. And Yusef doesn't even know this, but we're hoping to have the Emirati Culture Club. They offer a global day and see if we can do an exchange.
Yeah,
and so I think that's an important piece of how do we build in the understandings of what's happening in Kenya so they can understand in the South and what the work that needs to be done.
Absolutely.
And understand that they can be part of it. And
beyond learning from a textbook or video.
Well, and you know, that's not why I do what I do. I love student affairs because we're very practical, and I've been working in this for 30 years, and I love student affairs and working with our students. So I think those are the ways we have to do it. But I think it starts with our home and the values of the Emirati Cultural Club. And so we're looking forward to continuing that. We also now have a position on the Student Council, our student government, that also represents the Emirati Cultural Club. Since 26% of our students are local students, we wanted to make sure that they had an ambassador. So that group will work with us too on tolerance. So I'm real excited about the near future. And I jump like 2 years, you know, I'm not jumping 5, but anyway,
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lisa. And Ilya, I think you mentioned already you're working on the Tolerance Club, and that's what you see in terms of future-wise. Is there anything else that you see that needs to be done to really encourage, you know, tolerance?
I would say, as usual, everything starts from the head. And why we see the big change in this country, because it was created Ministry of Tolerance here, and that's how we all know about this. That's how we have it in all universities here mostly. That's how we have this event coming on 26th of May, because the government decided to make it real and make it possible.
Yes.
I don't think, and I extremely doubt that universities would do it by themselves, because now we have mostly in all universities we have it. The strongest thing in the tolerance is the governmental support. And if, of course, we can do as the universities ourselves and try to educate the students, but if it's coming from the government, if coming from the head, from a governmental level, this is how people will listen. Because we are very busy in general. We have other tasks to do. But now, if I'm just saying the real case scenario, what's happening in the world, why literally it's not really everywhere. People think about this, they know that it's real, it exists, right? But nobody's doing anything.
Absolutely.
They're not doing anything because it's not on a deadline.
It's not.
The government is not
on the
going
agenda.
for this.
Yeah, where
it's
it is
not
here.
on the agenda, it's not in the protocol, it's not anywhere, it's just somewhere here. But in my case, I have 100 tasks until Friday, which I need to finish, where I need to put 101 for me this week.
Fantastic. Now,
That's the main idea.
I believe you have a video, correct?
No, it's not the video, but I just want to finish the idea. I would say the biggest change we will see if the governments in the world will do the same as what UAE did. If this will happen, the universities, the schools, the kindergartens, everywhere we educate someone, it's going to happen. It will be created, the same as it was created here, and this will change everything. So for me, the biggest change I would love to see if all the governments, and when all the governments would really have this on the agenda, and they will introduce it to the world, to their countries. Yeah. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Ladies and gents, can I get a big round of applause, please, for our panelist, Ilya from Synergy University. We've got Dr. Lisa from the American University of Sharjah, and Miss, of course, Fatia from the New York University. Did you want a picture with our team? Absolutely. I'll just close it off for now. Ladies and gents, this concludes today's ceremony. It's been an absolute pleasure hosting you today. It's been a fantastic discussion. You've heard from a number of ministers. You heard from His Excellency Sheikh Nahyan Mubarak Al Nahyan talking about tolerance and exclusivity and making sure that we all work together in order to provide opportunities and prosperity for one another. You saw 6 MOUs signed today with 6 different nations, encouraging prosperity and opportunities and investments with one another. We hope you guys enjoyed today's ceremony. We certainly have enjoyed hosting you all. I'm Shireen Matwali, and bye for now. We look forward to the next meeting next year. Thank you very much.